a Harbor Freight special. I did some research on these light bars, and they seem to be actually pretty good. They have really good reviews, so we're gonna give it a shot. The best thing was these are like 80 bucks, and the 4th of July weekend they're on sale, which by the time you guys see this is gonna be over. They were doing 20% off on Inside Track members or whatever, so I ended up getting this for like $60-something, like 60, I don't know, low 60s. So really cheap light bar. Come out of there. That's neat. Waterproof plug. If you wanted to wire it in and then remove it. The plan with this is, which you can kind of barely see it, where the fog lights are in the 6-liter there, this is going to replace that. This is a 22-inch light bar. Should fit in there nicely. I have yet to decide if I want to hook it up to the fog light wires or if I just want to put it on a auxiliary switch, because this truck has the 4 auxiliary switches on it, which is probably what I'm going to do, so I don't end up hacking the factory wiring in case I want to go back to the fog lights for some reason. But this is something that I've always wanted to do on a 6.0, and I've never done it. I owned one of these trucks in high school. It wasn't a 6.0, it was a 5.4, but literally the exact same truck. This was something I always wanted to do with it. And I think the reason I like 6.0 so much is because it kind of reminds me of my high school truck. So we're kind of doing some of the mods that I wanted to do, but like also trying to do very adult-ish, not high schooler mods to this thing. And I think this light bar will look very clean in the bumper. It'll kind of match the black housings, which I don't know if you can kind of see it in the camera. Kind of hoping it'll match the look that we're going with. And these are very, feel like very good quality, very heavy built, very deep cooling pins that should do very well. Like I said, I did a lot of research on light bars because I just didn't want to buy something really shit. But I also didn't want to spend $400 on a freaking light bar. And these Harbor Freight ones I've heard are very, very good. And then you can buy like warranty with these things for like not that much money, and they just replace them. Like if you dropped it today and took it back, they just replace it. But I didn't go for the warranty because I mean they're cheap enough. Like, I think it's not on sale at like 90 bucks, so they're quite cheap. And I just got some brackets and hardware. Yeah, Road Shock LEDs and the brand. So we're gonna start tearing apart the fog lights, get all that stuff out of there, and see what we're gonna need and how we can try to mount this thing. Okay, so I removed the fog lights, but I left the brackets. So the plan is what we're gonna do is I got this thin piece of aluminum. It's probably, well, it's 1/8 by 1 inch wide. I'm gonna use this. I gotta cut it shorter, but I'm gonna use this to bolt to the existing brackets, and that way I can run better bolts through it. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I'm gonna bolt this piece to the light bar, and then this piece will bolt on to the existing mounts. So that way they're separate. I can flip these brackets to the inside, but they aren't quite the right width to bolt onto that. It isn't gonna quite work. It's close, but not quite. So we're gonna mark this, drill holes in this, cut it to the right length, and then I will drill holes on that, on the brackets on the truck, and then mount this to the truck, then bolt this to this, and then we can wire it. So I didn't record a lot of this. Just took kind of a lot of measuring to mark the holes so that they would fall in the right spot and be centered so that the light bar isn't off to one side. And then I just temporarily ran self-tappers into it, which quite honestly, the self-tappers are holding in a lot better than I thought they would. Kind of just guessed height-wise. You know, I kind of set it in there, but I mean, it's kind of hard to, you know, to do. Okay, so I pulled the bracket back out because I'm going to bolt it instead of self-tapper it. I flipped these brackets upside down so they curve up to try to get it a little bit more center in there. And then, yeah, and then I spaced these out. So I was going to buy 1/2-inch spacers, but 1/2-inch spacers were like $8 at Fleet Farm. So I just grabbed a nut that was just a hair bigger than what the bolt called for. And then I have the rubber gasket they sent with it, a washer, and then I have the nut, which brings it out probably, well, I can tell you here in a second. So I just measured it, brings it out 7/16 of an inch. So just a hair under 1/2 inch, which should be about perfect. So I'm going to drill these holes a little bit bigger. Unfortunately, my drill bits I have are dull because I don't have my actual drill, so I can use my new drill bits. I just have this one that has these click ends, while the ones that I have that actually work for this are just, they're shot, so I'm going to have fun drilling that. But I'm going to drill them a little bit bigger in there too, so that I can bolt this using these little bolts. I want to say these bolts are 2-inch long. They're 1.5 inches or 2. I want to say these ones are 2-inch. Because the ones that I was going to get, 1.5 inches. So the ones I was going to get were I was going to get 1.25 inches, but they didn't have any in the stainless. I went and got grade 8, and yeah. Oh, the reason I went grade 8 instead of the stainless, because the stainless ones, they didn't have the nuts for the size of a bolt, and I didn't want to go any bigger than this because this is already going to be probably pushing it a little bit, but they'll hold pretty good. So I'm a little bit nervous to drilling that bigger. I hopefully just don't want them to crack because these are just, I mean, they are just plastic, but we'll give it a shot. And that's why I bolted all 4 together instead of doing just the outside ones, which is why I went this route instead of just using the 2 outside brackets and kind of making it work. This way it uses all 4 to hopefully strengthen it a little bit. So, okay, bracket is in. I have 4 1/4 inch by 1.5 inch, I think I measured them at. I can't remember what I said in the clip before this. Through here, drilled through these brackets. So there's 4 bolts holding this on. This is, I mean, this thing's pretty sturdy. It's gonna take a lot to go somewhere. I spaced these out with 1 nut, 1 washer, and then a little rubber grommet thing. Put them pretty close to the bumper here, which will pull in. These will pull in a little bit too once I put the light bar in. So we are going to bolt the light bar in now, and hopefully it sits pretty much in the center. By looking at this, it looks like it's pretty close to the center, maybe hangs down just a hair. I could have drilled the holes on this just to up a smidge, but like I said, I eyeballed it. I mean, I really didn't measure too well for that. So yeah, that was kind of a harder thing to measure, because try to put the light bar in and measure, and the light bar fills so much of this, which is hard. So we're gonna bolt the light bar in and see what she looks like. There it is, all mounted in. Sits a hair low from where I'd like it, but for kind of just winging it for the most part, honestly turned out pretty good. You know, it seems pretty solid. That don't seem like she's really going anywhere. And it sits pretty much, I mean, it sits fully behind the bumper. You can kind of see, I like where it fell. So Morgan's going to wipe off the bumper right there, and then I'm going to wire it all up. I'm going to hook it up to an upfader switch. So we'll wire it up and see what it looks like. Right, Morgan? So what I'm doing to hook up the light bars, I pulled the headlight out on the driver's side so I can kind of help try to run it up through here. I had to pull the headlight on anyway. When I put the light bulbs in for the headlights, I put the bulbs in upside down, so when I hit the brights, they go down. They're backwards, so I got to pull that one out yet anyway, but I already flipped this one. But this way I can kind of try to fish it up through here, and then I'm going to try to hide it, and I'm going to hook it up into my number 1 upfitter switch, which is this wire right here. They come with a nice little plug-in for the light bar, which is nice. So if I wanted to remove the light bar without pulling all the wiring, I could just unplug it right here. And then I had some wire laying around that I cut, and then I'm going to throw it in some wire loom, and then we'll run it all up, and it'll be nice and neat. Kind of try to hide it as much as I can. I think I'm going to go the easy route and just ground the light bar right to the battery, so I don't have to worry about no grounding issues or anything like that either. Everything comes right up into the engine bay and nice and neat that way. So I'm going to put you guys on time lapse, and we're going to finish this thing. We're going to knock this out. There it is, all wired up. That thing's bright, holy crap. It's pointed fairly low. I'm hoping that's not too much or not too high where it's gonna blind people. Because I would like to use it as kind of fog lights. I might twist it and drop it down a little bit, but all the wires are hidden. The old wires for the fog lights are kind of right in there. I guess you can kind of see them. They're kind of hidden, I guess. They're zip tied back there. Everything's zip tied up underneath. The wire comes up behind the headlight and kind of up along the side here. As you can see, I ran it up and then ran it around and then hooked it up into the upfitter wires, and then I actually zip tied the old upfitter wires back so that everything's kind of tucked and hidden. And then I ran this little wire up and hooked to the battery for the ground for the light bar. So nice and clean, you don't really see it. I'm gonna swap this headlight upside down so that the bulb is correct. We'll clean up all this stuff and then see what it looks like with the hood closed. It looks so much cleaner in my opinion. Gets rid of the front license plate, which legally we are supposed to have one here, but they don't really bother us much here. The only time they really bother us is if you put it in the front windshield, then they'll bother you. If you take it out of the front windshield, they typically most of the time won't bother you unless it's the state patrol that kind of wants to be a prick, but I think it looks so much cleaner. Nice curved one, light bar would fit in there really nice, but I kept it back just a little bit. I could make it come out a little bit more if I wanted to, but I think keeping it tucked back a little bit is kind of the better way to do it, just to keep things away from hitting it and breaking it. Nice and sturdy, doesn't go nowhere. And then that replaces these really crappy looking old fog lights. And then we will be putting a new front bumper on this truck eventually because there's a big dent right here. And then it's got, someone drilled holes in it here for some reason. So that'll all get replaced. And then what is your guys' opinion? Do you want me to keep this grill and just paint the outer part of it? Or do we put a factory like Harley Davidson style in it that has like the chrome bars in the center and then paint match the outside of that one? Personally, I think that'd look a lot better, but the black grill kind of looks good with the headlights, but I do want to keep the chrome bumpers and stuff and then paint match the lower valance on here because I think a little bit of chrome looks good, and then when we put wheels on it, we'll be putting polished wheels on it. So I do want to keep a little bit of the chrome. Trying to make it as clean as looking as possible. I don't want to make it gaudy, but clean. The nice thing with the light bar too is it kind of fills up that empty hole in the front bumper, which is nice. But I did find out one thing messing with this that, you know, I'm not real happy about. Yeah, previous owner decided to only put one bolt in the tow hook out of the 3 that's supposed to be in there. That's real safe. Good thing we didn't need it. Get stuck or something and then yank on it and break the whole tow hook and come shooting in the back of somebody's truck. So I'm gonna have to order some bolts for that because I see both of them only have 1 bolt in them. Why? I have no idea. But flip both headlights upside down, so hopefully now the brights are actually brights and not upside down and backwards. So once it gets dark here, we'll turn everything on, adjust the headlights, and see what the light bar looks like. I might have to adjust the light bar down a little bit because it is going to be my fog lights, so I want it to be kind of down at the ground and not blinding people because I want to be able to actually use it. That looks so good. I like it. Okay, we'll be back when it gets dark out and we'll see how bright they are at night. As you can see, it is dark out here. So we are gonna see how these lights look. We're gonna show you a couple different things. So for starters, this is just parking lights. So I put all LEDs on this truck. So this is probably like the cheapest thing you can do is switch these things to all LEDs. These trucks are super cheap to do light mods. I'll list everything I've done to this truck for lights in the description. Amazon license plate lights, Amazon tail lights. I have not done anything with the mirrors yet. But these are LED parking lights. They're also switchbacks, super bright. And it already came with LED cab lights on it, smoked cab lights. But there you go. So there's the parking lights. Those are the headlights. Brights, dims. Okay, back to parking lights. This is gonna be the light bar. God dang. That thing is bright, dude. Oh my God. So I'm gonna leave the light bar where it's at. We'll drive with it a little bit and see kind of how it is. It's actually points pretty low to the ground, like where the main like beam is. So the little bit of bleeding that it does might not actually be too bright for other people. We'll see. One of these days, maybe. You know what? You know, we're gonna back this out on the road. We're gonna back this out on the road and see how it is on the road. And I'll kind of walk down the road once and see if it's blinding. Okay, give me a second. So this is the main beam. This is just the light bar, which honestly, just the light bar alone does really well. It's pointed like kind of from where I'm sitting looking. It's kind of like down where the fog lights would be, which is really nice. So like fog light wise, it's good. But let's see if it's gonna be blinding for people coming at me. We're gonna walk down a little bit, which it is pretty bright. It bleeds pretty bad. God, I don't know. Let me turn the headlights on once and see, compared to the headlights once, let's see where they're at. I have not adjusted the headlights yet. So I feel like it's about the same with just the headlights. So maybe the light bar won't be too bad. Might just have to drive it a little bit to see people flash me when I have it on. Okay, now this is the headlights and the fog lights, which, God, you can light up the whole freaking road, which is awesome. Yeah, that light bar is pretty bright. I might have to, I don't know if I'll be able to run that too much. That's brighter than I was thinking. Might have to tip it down a little more. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see if people flash me if I run with it on at all. I don't really run with my fog lights on much anyway. Only if it's like super bad weather, so it probably won't be much of a problem. But on back roads, I'm telling you, on back roads, this thing's gonna be freaking awesome. So this is through a 35% windshield tint. There's brights. But you guys probably can't even tell much difference. That's awesome. But that's where we're gonna end today's video. It's starting to sprinkle out here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Very cheap mod. I have less than $100 in this thing. I think I have like $67 for the light bar, and then I have like $3 in bolts and everything else I just had laying around. This is something you could do literally for less than $100. So very cheap mod, less than I could do the LED fog light mod, especially since I wanted to replace the housings. The housings are terrible. So yeah, very cheap, inexpensive mod. Can't wait to bring you guys more stuff. If you want to see more and want to get notified of it, make sure you hit that bell notification, hit the subscribe button, like this video so it gets pushed more for YouTube. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.